Today with Cooking with Trudy and Tracy, we're going to do a homemade pizza for you. This is quick and easy. You can do it for lunch or serve with dinner with a side salad. I'm not a big tomato sauce person, so this is a white and grain pizza. And we're going to start out with going over the basic ingredients that you'll need, and then Tracy will also do a homemade pizza crust to let you know how easy it is. Now, I often will purchase the pizza dough from Trader Joe's, which is also an option, and then I use cornmeal when I roll it out. You can use either a rolling pin, or I use a white wine bottle to roll mine out. You'll need olive oil, flour, cornmeal, some sugar and salt, and active dry yeast to do your crust from scratch. For the toppings today, we're going to caramelize an onion, a sweet onion, using olive oil, balsamic vinaigrette, and you'll need a little bit of sugar for that. And then we're also going to be doing artichoke hearts that have been packed in water, just chopped up, fresh arugula, and then goat cheese with either fresh pressed garlic, or you can use your Cuisinart to mix it all together, along with mozzarella. You want to open your artichoke hearts, drain them, and then you're going to chop them into chunk-sized pieces, but because of the size of these, they really do need to be cut up in a smaller size piece. Once they're chopped up, you'll want to set them aside. After an hour, your pizza dough is risen, and I prefer to use cornmeal only to roll my pizza dough out on, whether it's the Trader Joe's or whether it's homemade, and I do like the cornmeal. By the way, if you don't have, this is just an old-fashioned Tupperware pie roller, just a clean counter will work. Some people use wax paper. During my leaner times financially, that's when I took up the bottle for a rolling pin. A regular rolling pin works just fine. I tend to like the weight of the wine bottle, and that's what I use for pâté brisé, pretty much any kind of pastry. So I'm just going to move the pastry here for the pizza dough around a little bit, and then begin rolling. I'm more of a New York style pizza gal myself, so I prefer a thinner crust. If you like a thicker crust, just roll it out to probably about half the thickness that you want, because as it bakes, it will, with the yeast, puff up a little bit. And also roll it out to the diameter of what you want. We're using a cookie sheet. If you use a pizza stone, you will have a chewier, moister crust. Again, I like more of a crispy crust, New York style, so I prefer to use an old-fashioned cookie sheet. Next, you want to prepare one of your toppings, which is the garlic goat cheese. You need to clean off 1 to 2 cloves of garlic, depending on how garlicky you like it. I think based on the size of these cloves, I'm going to use 2 cloves versus 3, but as you can see, they're a smaller size clove. So we want to peel off the skin, and I don't see any little spots or anything that need to be removed off of these. I'm using a garlic press. If you have a Cuisinart, you can also use your Cuisinart or food processor for this step as well. And you're going to press your garlic into the bowl, open up your goat cheese and add it, and then blend it together until it's a smooth, creamy paste for us to then add to the top of the pizza. The second topping that you want to add to the pizza is caramelized onion. You need a nice sized skillet, either, I use a cast iron skillet, but any kind of skillet will do. You want to add probably about a tablespoon and a half of olive oil. You then want to clean your sweet onion, and I also like to add a little bit of butter, probably about a tablespoon of butter as well to this. So I'm now going to clean my onion and chop it finely and put this on the stove to cook. And then we'll show you once it starts to caramelize and get a really pretty translucently brown color, we're going to add a little bit of sugar and balsamic vinegar. The skillet has been on medium to more like medium high, and now that the onions look more translucent-y and are starting to turn a golden brown, I'm going to add about a tablespoon, 1 tablespoon of sugar, and then that's probably about 1/3 of a cup of balsamic vinegar. And what I'm going to continue doing now is cooking the onions until all of the liquid has cooked off on medium to medium high heat. What you want to watch for is you don't want to scorch the onions because then they'll be bitter. You want them to be this lovely caramelized sweetness, so you will need to stir them periodically. Make sure you turn your oven on 475 to preheat it. The first ingredient I'm going to put on our rolled out pizza, and again this crust is on a cookie sheet, is the goat cheese garlic. And it doesn't really spread too much. I probably did that glop or blob a little bit too thick here. You can almost, but not exactly, spread it out like you would a mozzarella or tomato sauce. I don't have an even layer of it all over. Just kind of add it here and there. And the reason for that is it will melt and smooth out a little bit, but I'm also going to be adding the other toppings, including the mozzarella. By the way, add the mozzarella almost towards the last. Finish this up. You can kind of see. By the way, I used a spoon. Probably a spatula would have been a better idea here, but you know, use whatever you've got, whatever you're comfortable using. This is not supposed to be complicated. Now next I'm going to add the artichoke hearts. I really like artichoke hearts, so, and I also like arugula on this, so I'm going to go pretty heavy on spreading this around. And this was 1 can of the artichoke hearts. By the way, this can, if you have a teenage boy, they could probably eat this whole thing in one sitting. For me, a pizza this size will actually provide me 3 or 4 meals. So depending on size of appetite will impact the amount. Now I've washed off some arugula. The arugula just adds just beautiful color. It's going to cook down also. And if you're not familiar with arugula, it has a nice kind of spicy, peppery flavor. So it's going to give it some zip or zing. Now what I'm going to do is add some mozzarella. And this is kind of a balancing act. Maybe I'm adding about a cup and a half. I don't want it to be too heavily cheesy, but I want enough to kind of hold down the arugula and add, it adds such a nice flavor to the dough. I'm not a big, if you're a big crust person, I guess you could probably do a little less cheese, but I prefer on my crust to have some type of topping. And then the very last step is to kind of drop around the caramelized onions. And they're really kind of the, what is it, coup d'etat, I'm messing up the French, but it really finishes off the pizza and adds a flavor that finishes it off so that you have the sweet, the salty, great combination. Shout out to my sister. It was her idea to add the caramelized onions. And by the way, I had never done caramelized onions before. Bon appetit!